This is Jagdish Arora. I'll be talking about Introduction to Digital Library, the first module in the paper Digital Library. This module will introduce the following aspects of Digital Library to you. The first is technologies that have been used over a period of time to denote concept of Digital Library. Important definition of the term Digital Library. Why World Wide Web is not a digital library. Major distinction between digital library and traditional library. We'll be talking about distinguished feature of digital libraries and traditional information storage and retrieval system that has been in vogue for past 30 years. Technological factors that are considered as enabler to digital libraries. Need and purpose of digital library. The big picture of digital library with important components like network, like computers, like digital collections that it holds, and other technologies that support digital libraries. The big picture of digital libraries with important components. Finally, examples of commercial, non-commercial, open access and federated digital libraries would be given in this module. Several terms have been coined at different times to represent the concept of libraries without books, libraries having information in computer readable format or having access to information in digitized or digital format. The terms which have been used at different times include paperless library that was first used by Lancaster in 1978 in his book entitled Towards Paperless Information System, published by Academic Press. Libraries without boundaries have also been used to denote phenomena that the library resources are accessible beyond the boundaries of library. The journal named Electronic Library was launched in 1983 by the IFLA that was published by Emerald. However, it essentially referred to online access to bibliographic, factual, numerical, and referral databases. The journal Electronic Journal is still published by Emerald Insight. The relatively recent use of term digital library can be traced digital library initiatives funded by the US National Science Foundation, the Advanced Research Project Agency, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, in the United States in the year 1994. These agencies granted US $24.4 million to 6 universities in the United States for digital library research impelled by the sudden explosion growth on the internet and web technology. The term was quickly adopted by the computer scientists, librarians, and others. Thus, while the term digital library is relatively new, the concept behind the term and information resources consisting of digital resources has a history spanning to several years. The term virtual library usually refers to the meta resources or subject portals that extend virtual accessibility of digital collections from several diverse sources without the users even knowing where the resources actually resides. Unlike digital libraries, virtual libraries do not consist of full text resources. Instead, they are more like an index of relevant, handpicked links to resources available on the web. Hybrid libraries. Hybrid libraries are designed to bring range of technologies from different sources together in the context of a working library and also to explore integrated systems and services in both the electronic and print environment. Now, having known about the hybrid libraries, digital libraries, virtual libraries, let's look at what digital library is used loosely to describe. Full text collections, digital access to scanned text, images, photographs, printed text, digital video segments, scientific data sets like protein sequences or nucleic acid sequences, online databases and CD-ROM information products with multimedia or interactive video components, software libraries or multimedia works, computer storage devices such as optical discs, jukeboxes, CD-ROM or DVD-ROM towers, etc. Database including library catalogs accessible through the internet, digital audio, video clips or full-length movies. Commercial and academic system designed to enable electronic access to a large corpora of electronic documents to authorized users. The term digital library was first used in 1994 in the project funded by the US government called Digital Library Projects Phase 1. ARMS defined digital library as managed collection of information with associated services where the information is stored in digital formats and accessible over a network. Please note that the emphasis here is on managed collection, associated services, digital formats, and network. The eminent information analyst Clifford Lynch defined digital library as digital library is a system providing a community of users with coherent access to a large organized repository of digital information and knowledge. Digital library is not just one entity, but multiple sources that are seamlessly integrated. Let's go to yet another definition by Terence R. Smith, who defines digital library as digital library is controlled collection of information bearing objects that are in digital form and that may be organized, accessed, evaluated, and used by means of heterogeneous and extensible set of distributed services that are supported by digital technology. Here again, emphasis is on controlled collection. That means that the collection is well organized with metadata at different level. Information bearing objects refers to digital format of information including textual and multimedia content. Having defined the term digital library, let us look what are the tenets of digital library. The ARL assigns the following tenets to a digital library. The digital library is not a single entity. The digital library requires technology to link the resources of many. These links are transparent to end users. Universal access to digital libraries and information services is the goal. And finally, collection in a digital library are not limited to documents surrogate. They also include digital artifacts that cannot be represented or distributed in print format. Let's now examine why World Wide Web is not a digital library. The World Wide Web is a means to access digital library, but it is not a digital library in itself. Digital libraries are organized and managed collections of resources. On the contrary, World Wide Web is disorganized and unmanaged. Much of the web contains ephemeral information, advertisements, personal web pages, announcements, etc. Most search engines hunt down their holdings from different websites across the globe, whereas digital libraries are generally more tightly controlled and have a targeted customer set. Distinction between digital library versus traditional library. Let's now example distinction between digital library and traditional library. Traditional libraries are focused on physical objects. The traditional libraries are built around physical objects available in the libraries. Even the purpose of library OPAC is to point out to the physical location of a book or a document available in the library. Tracking of physical objects has both obvious and subtle implication. Objects can exist only at one place at a time. Either a user can access the object or wait for it to come to him or her. Whereas digital library removes the physical restrictions inbuilt into traditional libraries and provides multiple access, multiple listings, and electronic transmission of information. Digital libraries comes with complications such as intellectual property right, digital rights management, terms and conditions, etc. Traditional libraries offer additional social and educational benefits. Having examined the difference between digital libraries and traditional library, let us now examine major differences between digital libraries and traditional information storage and retrieval system. Information retrieval systems are in existence since 1970s. They can essentially be considered as precursors to digital libraries. The basic unit of information retrieval system is a document with focus on textual retrieval, whereas digital libraries, beside textual information, may also contain multimedia objects. Traditional information retrieval system is based on exact matching, Boolean or string of text, etc. Traditional IRS do not support fuzzy logic and inexact searching, which is one of the proprietary benefit of digital libraries. Digital libraries is based on pattern searching, inexact matching, and fuzzy logic. Migration from information retrieval to digital libraries generally coincides with spread of World Wide Web. Now we know that digital libraries is migration, or one can say precursor to information storage and retrieval system. Let us now deliberate on three enabling factors that led to evolution of digital libraries. These three enabling factors are emergence of internet and web technologies as a media of information delivery and access that facilitate rapid access and linking to a wide variety of resources. Availability of highly evolved, extraordinarily simple and intuitive user interface that is Google Chrome or Internet Explorer for all prevalent platforms. Advances in online storage technologies enabling storage of large amount of contents at increasingly affordable cost. Let's now dwell upon the need and benefits of digital library. Digital libraries have no physical boundaries. They are accessible anywhere, anytime, internet, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and 365 days in a year. Digital libraries offer multiple access to resources simultaneously. Single digital copy is sufficient to serve a large number of users across the internet. Multiple listing of same resource is possible as per the requirement of user. Digital libraries provides access to much richer content in a more structured manner. Digital libraries support search of a phrase of word in entire digital collection. Digital library offers an alternate publishing model to counter rising acquisition and subscription fees of journals that are published by commercial publishing. Digital library facilitates conserving, preserving, and providing increased access to old, fragile, and deteriorating documents of highly scholarly value. Digital library enables seamless access to e-resources distributed across the globe. Digital library can be managed from remote locations. Digital library implementation can dramatically reduce floor space requirements as compared to conventional shelf-type storage of books and journals. Let's now have a look at the big picture of digital library as shown in the slide. Establishing a digital library resource and services require a great deal of infrastructure components that are not available off the shelf as packaged solutions. There are no turnkey monolithic systems available for digital libraries. Instead, digital libraries are a collection of disparate systems with resources connected through a network. Components required for a digital library can broadly be divided into the following 5 categories as shown in the picture in the slide. Collection infrastructure. The most important component of a digital library is the digital collection it holds or has access to. Viability and extent of usefulness of a digital library would depend upon the critical mass of digital collection it hosts. Digital resource organization. Digital library uses object naming and addressing conventions as used by the internet and web technology. The concepts of URL, persistent URL, universal resource name or URN, handles, digital object identifier or DOI, open URL. These technologies are used to identify each digital objects available in a digital repository. Uniform resource characteristics or metadata plays an important role in organizing digital libraries. Access infrastructure in a digital library consists of search and browsing interfaces, subject gateways, and integrated and federated search programs. Computers and network infrastructure. A typical digital library is a distributed client server environment, consists of hardware and software components at server side as well as at the client side. Intellectual property rights, IPR, and digital rights management. The current paper-based concept of copyright breaks down in the digital environment because the control of copies is lost. Digital objects are less fixed, easily copied, and remotely accessible by multiple users simultaneously. Copyright is manifested in terms of licenses in digital world. A library is required to sign licenses to acquire access to digital collection. Digital library services. The digital resources and associated technical infrastructure is only a means to generate services, keeping its potential users in mind. Like printed resources are used in traditional libraries to generate services by the library staff, the digital resources are used to generate services using software-driven web-based interfaces. Digital library services can broadly be divided into two categories, namely traditional library services modified for the digital environment and new services. Some of these services are offered by the digital library themselves per se, whereas other services are offered by the hybrid libraries with an objective to facilitate access to digital collections subscribed by them. Now let us examine some of the examples of digital library. This first example here is New Zealand Digital Library. The New Zealand Digital Library, maintained by the University of Waikato, provides web access to several document collections with varied subject content, languages, and formats. NZDL supports a simple but powerful bibliographic and full-text search and browse interface, including hierarchical browsing and display. NZDL has given a lot of importance to structuring of search, browse, and display interfaces, making them user-friendly. Metadata, which is author, title, keywords, etc., plays a key role in supporting field-based searches and browsing. The New Zealand Digital Library has been built using the Greenstone Digital Library software developed out of a research program at the University of Waikato. The Greenstone Digital Library software is available freely as open source under the terms of GNU Public License. Finally, we'll take three examples of digital library, including commercial digital library, non-commercial digital library, open access digital library, federated search digital library, as well as digital library that are subject-specific collections of research papers. Students, we'll now take three examples of digital library. One available in open source using an open source software, yet another a subject-specific digital library, and we'll take an example of commercial digital library. This first example is New Zealand Digital Library, maintained by University of Waikato, that provides web-based access to several document collections with varied subject content, language, and formats. The New Zealand Digital Library supports a simple but powerful bibliographic and full-text search and browse interface that includes hierarchical browsing and display. It has given a lot of importance to structuring of search, browse, and display interface, making them very user-friendly. Metadata, that includes authors, title, keywords, plays a key role in support field-based search and browsing. The New Zealand Digital Library has been built using Greenstone Digital Library software that is developed out of a project that was given to the University of Waikato. The Greenstone Digital Library that is used for making New Zealand Digital Library is available as a free open source software under the terms of GNU. The second example is Archive. It is spelled as ARXIV but pronounced as Archive. That was started in 1991 by Paul Ginspark at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and it is one of the oldest ePrint archives. The repository is now hosted at Cornell University, and it has become a fundamental means of communication for growing number of fields, starting with theoretical physics, high energy physics, and spreading to other area of physics, and now includes computer science and mathematics also. Archive is a leading example of successful implementation of developments in information technology, which led to an alternate model of scholarly communication. The archive processes 35,000 submissions every year. It receives 2/3 of 2 million weekly hits from institutions outside the United States and includes research facilities in developing regions. The archive has become indispensable to researcher worldwide, but in particularly to the research institutions in developing countries. The success and widespread of archive has prompted establishment of institution archives and subject-based digital repository in different disciplines. Scientists and librarians have now become aware of benefits of open access archiving, and that is being considered as alternate method of scholarly publishing. The Institute of Mathematical Sciences at Chennai is maintaining the Indian mirror of archive. The last example that we're going to take is a commercial repository or commercial digital library called Science Direct, which is a web-based interface to full-text database of a commercial publisher, namely Elsevier Science, one of the world's largest providers of scientific, technical, and medical literature. Science Direct contains 25% of the world's science, technology, and medical information. It offers a rich electronic environment for research journals, bibliographic databases, and reference works. The database offers more than 2,000 scientific, technical, and medical peer-reviewed journals, over 59 million abstracts, and over 7 million full-text scientific journal articles, and expanding suite of bibliographic databases that are linked to another 1 million full-text articles via Crossref to another publisher's platform. In addition, the backfile program of Science Direct provides ability to search historical archives of 6.75 million articles directly from the desktop of a user from volume 1 to issue 1 onwards. With this, we are completing the first module of Digital Library, and I am Jagdish Arora signing off from EPG Pathshala, Library and Information Science.